So if he's not going to practice what he preaches, could he at least start preaching what he's practicing? The panel is back. Inez Stepman, Doug Schoen, and Brad Polumbo. So, Brad, I will start with you. You love capitalism. Do you think what Bernie's doing is a clever hoodwink, or is it fraud?
Well, it's obviously hypocritical, of course, and on that level, it's a little bit maddening. But I think it's funny because he's like accidentally reminding us why capitalism is great. There are people out there, and I don't know what hard drugs they're smoking, but there are people out there who actually would pay $95 to go hear Bernie Sanders speak at his anti-capitalism event. And they're getting more value from this event than $95 is worth to them. Bernie's getting more from doing the event and from that money he's getting, of course, for his 3 houses, than he would get from doing something else with his time. It's a win-win, voluntary, mutual transaction. That's capitalism 101, baby, and it's an example of how actually everybody wins in a free market system when people can trade and exchange. And it's just funny. It's deeply funny that it's coming from somebody who's built an entire career of trying to undermine that system and go with something else instead.
Well, Live Nation, the parent company of Ticketmaster, they've done just fine, just raking in billions and billions of dollars in this disgusting system that Bernie Sanders abhors. So, Doug, if Ticketmaster is so bad, why is Bernie going to a Ticketmaster venue? Couldn't he have this in some sort of an ashram or a public park and not charge a thing?
Well, he could do that. That's how he started his career.
Sure.
But it's best to go to the largest player in the ticket dissemination field, which has all sorts of issues they're now confronting with Taylor Swift, and go to them and try to get your $95, or maybe next time Bernie will have premium seats for even more than $95, a couple of $100 and a few autographs thrown in. So he is the American way. He's a capitalist who talks left and acts right.
Well said. And that's absolutely true. And maybe that's why everyone loves the guy, because secretly everyone wants to be a capitalist, don't they, Inez?
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if everyone wants to be, but they sure behave that way. I mean, look, the phenomenon of the hipster, trendy Che Guevara shirt is not a new phenomenon, right? People willing to pay marked up $80 for a shirt with a communist on it, a murderous communist, I might add. But so this idea isn't new. I do think it's telling that Bernie's sort of on the decline. I think in the Democratic Party, largely his brand of socialism has actually peaked. It peaked in 2016, and now the sort of philosophy that's on the ascendant in the Democratic Party looks more like a sort of managerial, like technocratic corporatism. You see all these large multinational corporations, swinging very firmly into the Democratic Party camp at this point on the basis of wokeism and social issues. So even more so than by his age and his ash heap of history ideas, I think Bernie's just going to be pushed out by sort of the woke corporations in his own party, which is perhaps a fitting end to an octogenarian communist political career.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been pretty consistent the whole time. You have to give him credit for that. But, Brad, are people finally waking up to the notion that none of this works?
No, it doesn't, because they never seem to be able to practice what they preach. Because if they did, it would require a lot of personal sacrifice. It's okay to run a family like a Marxist communist society, because everyone knows each other, they love each other, they have mutual interests. Of course, it's the kind of the principle from to your ability to your need, but you can't run a society like that. And the personal lives of these people proves us that every single time.
Yes, that is the micro version. The macro versions, of course, are Venezuela and North Korea, and of course all of Eastern Europe during the Soviet era.